Saturday, December the 23rd, Christmas holiday weekend. And yours truly is always working to try to get you guys prepared for next week. It's going to be a quiet week, I would assume, and the market's overextended, but let's take a look at the patterns because they're pretty impressive. If you look at the S&P 500 since October of last year, that's about 14 months. We're down at 34.91. And this week, we reached 47.78. A huge move in just a 14-month period. But it looks like a long 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 underway. But I'm not saying this is done, but I am saying we're extended. And when you look at the oscillator, you'll see it's not extremely overbought. Same with the VIX. But I do think that we got to be ultra careful up here and maybe have stops on everything. Is this a strong momentum play? What do you see? The stocks I'm going to show you today. But more importantly, the index has gone, and the S&P, you can see from up about 700 points, something like that. So 650 points, 15% just in 6 weeks. That's the S&P 500. Here's the NDX. Nasdaq 100 has gone from the October low, just above 14,000, to 16,860. So we're looking at about 2,800 points, something like 17%, just in 5-6 weeks for the, so maybe 7 weeks. Yeah, let's call it 7 weeks for the Nasdaq 100. With a 1, 2, and 3, this 3 may not be completed. And when you look at what my projections are, I'm looking at about 17,800 to 18,000. In longer term, if this just continues to push, 19,500 to 19,700. I wanted to say that the S&P 500 might reach as high as just under 5,000. So all of that is only if momentum continues, and that could be abated at any minute. I would say last week's low and low in the last 6-7 days, about 46.97 for me. That is going to be my short-term support. And if that breaks, we might get a much deeper retrace. That's the S&P, and here's the NDX. I don't want to see the index ideally under Wednesday's low. 16. Let's call it 16,550. But certainly the extension could take you higher. We'll find out if we can take out 16,860 early in the week, then we could accelerate. Going to be interesting, particularly in a thin market. Let's take a look at the other indices we follow closely. The transportation, which for a long time wasn't confirming, but there's your breakout of an inverse head and shoulders. Almost a perfect formation too. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Breakout, flag, pop, and another one. And at this point, I'm looking for a move that takes us out of the consolidation we've been in. In other words, over 16,150 and get us up to about 16,670 zone. Again, last week's low would be for me 15,720 would be the area I keep close tabs on right there. And the biggest surprise of all, which I just did a calculation on, now we were looking at the small caps as really trailing badly, and I've heard from a lot of institutions, well, the small caps are dying and they're not really going anywhere, and it's the year-end tax loss selling. BS. Take a look at the small cap index since October 31st. It's gone from 161 to Friday's high 203, nearly 202.81, and it closed at the highest close we've seen on this one since way back in April of 22, a year and a half. So. And a huge base is built. This is a really impressive pattern for me. If this market's going to go into blow-off stage, the small caps could really accelerate. And we've been seeing a lot of junior tech and biotech stocks really have a big time of it. And there's the picture as to why. Multiple waves up with coils and flags, and here's another one. My projection is 211 if we do get an extension move. Just keep in mind last week's lows, 195-ish, 196. We'd like to see that hold, of course. If this is going to accelerate, even if it goes sideways, that's fine too, but I want to see the eventual move if the market doesn't break down. It takes us somewhere up around 211 to 214 zone. But keep in mind, there's a gap and price support at about 195.6 right there. That's the small cap index. So let's look at the underlying technicals and what they look like. Well, you know what? Advanced declines and up-down volume have been okay, but not great. Now you can see the percentage of stocks above the 40 really dramatically increased since that October low when it was trading down around 12% of stocks, meaning 7 out of 8 stocks were below the 40 to 7 out of 8 stocks above the 40. And with a double bottom breakout, retest, and pop, and rising flag or starts at key resistance here. This is a level at which we've seen so many markets pull back. So yeah, the markets do, but you notice how long you can stay overbought, so to speak. The VIX finally took a bounce off the low, but not impressively, and pulled right back. So I'm going to say until the VIX gets over 15 with energy, I wouldn't be overly concerned just yet. Stay tuned. We're going to find this might come down and retest or even make a lower low. I could be wrong. We'll see what happens starting Tuesday. So now that we do that, I always look at the components, and here's what we're seeing and why the market is as strong as it is. Apple, which went from a pullback low late October of 165 and change, reached 199.62. Now back here, we reached 198.23. So by a point, $1.40, we made a new all-time high, and then it backed off. Still, if this is a 1-2 and this is a 3-4, we may get a fifth wave, if I'm counting it correctly. Fifth wave could take it to 205.6 or more if we get a blow off. And of course, this pullback low, 191.5, is going to be a point I'll be watching closely next week, along with secondary support at 187.5. Those are two levels to watch in Apple. Amazon, dynamite chart. And folks, it's not an all-time high, but it's the highest level we've seen in a year and a half as well, a year and 3 quarters. The ascending bull coil I mentioned a week before last broke out early in the week and flagged since then. So the logic would dictate that if this continues on that angle, then we could see 170 in that area, give or take a couple points. That's a big move coming, potentially. Current support is the breakout point, comes in about 149.9.5. That's Amazon. Google also, excuse me, if you see the way it's acted here, you'll see that the angle of ascent here has changed a bit, but it's a positive one still. Here's your strong rising channel for the last year. And then what looks like a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, inverse head and shoulders, cup and handle, whatever you want to call it. The bottom line is that Google came through this decline top line last Wednesday, popped to the highest level we've seen in a year and a half, and then closed at the highest level we've seen since way back when here, March of 22. So we're approaching levels of key resistance above here. And Google at about 144.5, and then up here the spike high 152. So you can see Amazon, Google, and even Apple all have broken out. If you take a look at Google, by the way, 6 days in a row up, as opposed to Amazon and Apple, which have been a bit different. Microsoft's coiling is near the apex, and if this is a large 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth wave on Microsoft could take you up to over 400. That I wouldn't be surprised at 415 or more. But first, let's get the breakout and not the breakdown. And the key support, if you're asking, we're looking for it 362.3. That is a bullish looking wedge, isn't it? What about Nvidia? Well, it did back off the all-time high range, which is over 500, 505-ish. It's from some sort of wedge. So if it's going to cooperate, it's going to have to break out over 505.6 and then rip. The targets could be as high as 530 and 560 going forward. I would not want it below 480, which was last week's pullback low. But there is some minor support even below that. Comes in right about here. Okay, so watch 480 and 474. On the upside, you know what the breakout is. So this is a critical component. Now, if you look at Tesla, a breakout across the decline top side has been going back since July. We're here, and then a pause in this zone. Now, Tesla would do well not to take out the weekly low of 247. Secondary support is in the 228 to 33 zone. That's a big one. You break that and you got big problems. I would rather see that trend line hold as well as lateral price support right through here. Looking at it on an hourly chart, you'll see it. That's what I'm referring to. So I don't want Tesla below that level. Again, that's 247. A breakout gets you to 275.80, maybe more. Netflix. This is the hourly chart again. Nice little coil forming near the trend line, moving average as well on the hourly chart as your coil. Let's look at it on daily. You'll see it's still holding support from last week. I want to see this take out the high. Anything over 500, 501, and Netflix could start to run again. Examining Meta. One of the highest levels we've seen in 2 years, reaching a high of 357. The pullback support low, 344.5. The projection on an angle like this takes us up to 380, everyone. And so those are generally the stocks we look at when we look at Nasdaq 100 generals. No pun intended. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the ETFs that we closely follow. The semiconductors having a good time. Take a look at this. This is the 14-month chart. The SMH was 83. It's now 173. We're talking 90 points or more than 100%. More than 100% in 14 months. Now look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way pullback, breakout, flag, breakout, and another one. Can't tell how far this can go. It is at the mid-range line. If it gets above that, it could accelerate towards 200. Wouldn't that be something? Personally, I'm looking for a blow-off. I think the shorts, everybody's preparing for the short side. Everyone thinks the market's extended. Everyone is I think, a little early. I could be wrong. We'll see. This is a 1, 2, 3, and maybe 4 is going to take some time. And then maybe early next year we have a surge. It's amazing to me, from my experience, and I've been doing this a long time, as most of you know, how many times the market has topped after a Santa Claus rally around January 8th to 12th in that area. January 10th, give or take a couple of days. That's my target for the top. Now, I may be wrong because we started so early in late October, early November, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, that's the SMH. And what about financials? Look at this. Ever since it was pretty apparent interest rates may be topped, the FAS has gone from under 49 to over 83. Huge move. And it took out the base, took out the declining tops line. All that's left now is this triple top up here, and that's a big, big number at 92. So we're about 12 points away from that. This is why I'm saying we could get a year-end blow off into that zone 90-92 on FAS. But what about biotechs? As you know, the LABU reverse split, so I'm going to stick with XBI for now, but nevertheless, they both look the same. We had a multi-year low. There's a triple bottom here, going way quadruple, sorry. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 lows in this area. And then another retest, and then off to the races. There's your breakaway gap. There's your breakout, retest, pop, trend line test, pop, trend line testing. This is just one of those charts that looks like it hasn't topped yet. And Friday was a big day, up 3.7% for the XBI. Biotechs look strong here. Next target, 91, and then 97.8. Some of the other retests we follow closely are oil, for example, which I'm negative on. You can see why. However, it's in a downtrend, but it's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down and now a rally. Some people call this a double top and 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I think. I don't know if oil is going to have a rally in it or not, but if it doesn't and it fails right there, my target is going to be somewhere between 64 and 61. If we break out, we have work to do, but the double top, first of all, 72, and then 74, 4.25 are your resistance levels. We break through that level, and we got a whole new trend on the upside. But I'd be careful on oil. What about gold? Here's the gold GLD. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. Gee, what a surprise! And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th wave underway. If we get a breakout through here, this goes way back. Take a look at that. Way back. This is a major breakout for gold and GD. I could see 190 107 to 199 on the GLD. Let's look at some of my other favorite ETFs. That's the inverse head and shoulder sharp pullback that held the moving average and trend line. A pop and wedge, and then it popped out on Friday, but it did not follow through. So we need this to get up to 32.5 3/4. We'll keep an eye on that one. And of course, the J Nugget I follow closely. Same thing here. We need a pop above 38 3/4, 39. And even then, we have some double top resistance at 41. But it does appear like the downtrend's over. A new uptrend has started. We'll keep an eye. Nugget, same thing. Not quite as strong yet, but we're watching all the golds, and you'll see several. Look, I'm going to just throw out a couple that I like. GOLD, nice inverse head and shoulders. In the silver sector, I like WPM. It's a tech trader swing. Look at that chart. It was a swing when it broke out here and then retested. And now look at this chart. I think we see 53 and 55.6 going forward. The near-term support on Wheaton is 48. Okay. Natural gas, well, it's been coming down like crazy, but KOLD that lost 1.5% on Friday. I think it's the top. It's a hard call. When I say top in the bear ETF, meaning that I think if you got to put a stop first of all right there. So if you're in KOLD, we're stopping under 93. Okay, simple as that. The other side is Boyle. So if natural gas is moving up, we got to get Boyle to look better than it looks right now. And I wouldn't touch it until I got over 30 with energy. And even then, I want to see better volume than that. So I'm not impressed with natural gas or oil for that matter. Now let's move on to the stocks. We have a lot to cover. And I cut out 50 stocks that look great. So that's how many stocks are looking good here. Alcoa, after a big downtrend, you may remember we did very well with Alcoa here from like 6-7 range all the way up to the 90s. In about a year and a half, this stock was a monster. But like most commodities and metals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. That's a 1 and a 2, and this is a long 3. Bottom line is it may have broken out with a breakaway gap above the moving averages, and now it's trending. Your target, 37.5, 38. AAOI, beautiful recovery. Long 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th wave is underway. It looks like if it's possible, if the market does go into ramp-up mode, this could be 30, 35 or more. Archer Aviation, the overall pattern is a double bottom base, sorry. And a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and multiple waves up. Corrective 1, 2, 3. A breakout and a rising trend. So let's just say that if this gets above and we want to watch for that 7.5, we're looking at 11 and 13. Firm, one of our tech trader swings that's done great, broke out. It's ramped up ever since, and it keeps going. Just since the October low, how about under 16 to over almost 52? Yeah, we're talking about 350% or something like that. Very nice move. Next target, 59.60. ALDX is a low-price biotech that got crushed from 13 all the way down $1.50, but it popped and it's in a rising channel. Just pointing out that technicals are improving. The stock looks like it could extend towards 5 and 6. Alt really has exploded in the last 4 or 5 weeks, from 234 to Friday's high and closed near 943. I mean, this thing looks like if it gaps on Tuesday, it could run into the mid-teens. This is a really powerful chart. Keep an eye on ALT going forward next week, okay? AMD, well, if you know, I've been liking AMD since way back in here when it broke out there. It was like 30. It went up to 164 and a 5-fold increase. And then it came down with the tech stocks and bounced nicely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a pullback. Now ramping up and breaking out the key resistance. My goal is for this one to run up to 164, my next target, and then maybe take it out. AMRX, another biotech stock that has really done well in the last, 7 or 8 months. 126, folks, to 566. So almost a 5-fold increase. And recently, coming out of a long consolidation, retesting and moving up higher, my target 6.25, 7.25. My favorite retailer in the last years has been ANF, which just since May has gone from 22 to 94. Almost 93.75. Look at this chart. Now, I don't know how far they can take this, but momentum is phenomenal. ANMX just recently, this has come out of a long, ugly pullback. It saw go from basically 7 to 1.5. There, popped out because of the moving average. They crossed over it, formed a V bottom right-handed extended platform. There's your breakaway gap. Thursday looks like 5 and 6.5 for targets. ANY, how about this move? From an all-time spike low at 57 cents. That was only December 1st. In 3 weeks, it's tripled. I'm sorry. It's quintupled. The 1, 2, 3, and it's overextended. Now, there is resistance on this up here. So we're near a level that I think it might pull back and consolidate. Keep an eye on that. APLD, tech traded swing broke out. We put a swing on it. It's moved up nicely since. I like the way it looked. It's poised at resistance, but your next targets are 8, 8.25, and then all the way up at 11, 11.5. Apellis, which I first gave you here when it broke out, reached a target, pulled back, reached it again, and pulled back, coiled, then broke out again, reaching my second target. My third target now is 74. APLT, in a beautiful but choppy uptrend, has had a good time of it of late, and I think we're heading to 4 and 5. AUTL, beautiful base breakout, retest, pop, falling wedge, new rising channel formed, and it's moved up for 3 weeks in a row, just about every day, about 12, 13 days in a row. Momentum could take this to 6.5 3/4 and then 7.5 3/4. Looking at Bridge Bio, beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth way is well underway. Momentum could carry this one into the mid 50s, low 60s. BLBD, looking at this long-term chart, big overhead resistance, but this long multi-month falling wedge broke out. It's now wedging here. This could blow, and particularly if it gets up through 29, we could see this run into the low to mid 30s. BRBR, this food company's been on a great chart for a year, but take a look at the October low of last year, where it was 20.31, only to come running up in a 56 and 3/4 range. What a great chart that is. And I can't tell you how much further it goes because we're at a juxtaposition of resistance, so be careful. Biotech Caladitas Therapeutics appears to be and might be coming out of a long base. It spiked up to resistance on Friday, but take a look at the momentum on this. Next target 32. CAMT is coming out of a coil here, folks. This was on my list for a while, and I took it off. I think when it broke down here, but it came right back. So now I've reinstituted this one to my list and changed the angle to look like this. And boy, is that a strong one. The mid-channel target around high 70s and then low to mid 90s. Your stopping point on the 59 would be very wise. How about CAN? $1.13 on December 13th. Friday's high, 345. That's tripled, folks. It's been up every day for 8 days in a row. Now, it's right at or just slightly above this resistance. If you see an extension that gets to just under 4, like on Monday, Tuesday, I would exit. The stock has got great momentum, but it may need some time to consolidate, pull back, and retest. CBay, our tech trader swing, popped again, reached my target, pulled back, reached my secondary target. The stock looks great. Look at this move. In May of 2022, $1.67, 23.5. Does it look done? It doesn't, but it is coming up to a target at 26.5. CDNA popped. We put a swing on it. It ran, flagged, and ran again. This is a really good looking chart. Guess what? There's not a lot of resistance between where it is now and 18. Keep an eye on this one. CLBT, beautiful rising channel. Break out of the neckline, retest it, form a rising channel, pop and flag, and then pop the flag. And now my target is 10. And then 11.5. CLF, I was talking to you guys about this stock was looking much better, and they may be the suitor or acquirer of U.S. Steel. Well, that didn't happen, but the stock did, in sympathy with the takeover of U.S. Steel. Now, I don't know if U.S. Steel is at fait accompli. I'm hearing there may be trouble with that bid. There may be secondary bids. There may be a lot of things happening. Watch for CLF to extend into the low 20s. CLS, now that's a good chart, folks. Especially from May of last year, May of this year, when the stock was 10.5 to triple over 30, with a target now at 33.4. In the Bitcoin or crypto realm, CLSK has really done well. Here's your breakout in the 4 range. It's gone to 12 or tripled. Rising flag, good momentum, good technicals. If Bitcoin and the crypto stocks continue to do well, this could be in the mid-teens. Coin, ditto there, could be 200. Koya, well, we finally had the breakout of the beautiful base, spike up, and now it's flagging. I like what I hear, but it's very thin. My targets remain 8 and 9.5. CPRX. On a long-term basis, it's a beautiful chart. You can see that we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave decline, but it broke out recently and then broke out through secondary resistance. The targets are 18 and 21. Crinetics, pop and pull back. We put a swing on it and then moved from the mid-20s to the high 30s. So far, so good. Target 42. CRISPR broke out. We put a swing on it. It went to both of my targets, double topped and backed off. Now, it doesn't look terrible. But it's got a wedge in here, but you have key resistance in the high 70s. Do not let this one go below there. That's my stop under 55. Carvana, one of our favorites, has been a swing for us here and here. And I think recently we put a swing. I have to double check my numbers, but bottom line is we're up against a triple top. Just slightly exceeded it and then reversed 62.59. How about that? This stock was just at the end of October 25. So 25 to 62. And if we break through here, I wouldn't be shocked with 70. I'm not kidding. And CYTK, look at that breakout Thursday and a bit of a fall through Friday. That's a beautiful inverse head and shoulders after a long decline. Your targets are 50 and 55. Dell Computers popped and pulled back. We put a swing on it and then coiled, broke out, pulled back to test the trend line. It's at the highest level we've seen. In fact, the highest close at 75.89 ever. So I'm looking for more. I'm looking for 80, 82, and then maybe 88. DraftKings. DraftKings has been on the list and since it broke out here in May. It broke out again in November. It's currently flagging. A breakout over 39.5 gets you 44 and 50, I believe. Duolingo, also a tech trader swing, popped out and has continued to run since this breakaway. But since the end of October, 141 to 245, 100 points. Still looks good to me. ESTC, I like the software group. They are very volatile, but when they go, they look great. Breakaway from a base, a retest, another breakaway gap, and a big one, and a flag. Target 128. ETHE, another crypto realm stock. This one, Ethereum. The beautiful rising trend doesn't look done. If it spikes, 24 target. EYPT popped and pulled back. We put a swing on it and then popped but backed off one more time in the wedge. Now it's breaking out again. Folks, if this gets above 24, I think you're looking at 28, 33, 38. No kidding. Figs. Pop broke out. We put a swing on it and backed off and popped again, backed off and popped again, but it's holding the trend line all along. The highest close on this one since way back in July occurred Friday. And I'm looking right in 3/4 and 10. The new one I put on the board today, Flex. This is at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move and then a long consolidation, but it broke out again. Target 34.5. FRO, I like the shippers. I like GOGL, FRO, SLBK, just a few of the shipping stocks looking good. Look at this one. If we get to the double top at 23-ish, I'm looking for 27.8. First Solar popped out of a base and it's wedging. I like this one too. Should be a swing. Target is 193.4 and then 205.10. Fusion. This little biotech popped through a double top, but here's where the breakout occurred. platform extension, target 8 3/4. GBTC is another Bitcoin realm stock, grayscale Bitcoin trust, from 7 3/4 to 37 3/4. Oh, I like that, huh? Anyway, I don't know where it's done or when it's done, but it's a possibility that if these continue, we can retest the highs in the mid 50s or more. Geo, tech trader swing broke out. I think it was here that it broke out. I put a swing on it. It's moved up beautifully. I'm looking for more. 12.5 and 14 are my extension targets. GNK was the other shipper I was talking about. Maybe coming out here. If it does, your target's 19.5 3/4. GPS popped, we put a swing on it. It just kept moving. Now it's flagging. I like this for another extension to 24.5. GitLab, always like this one, along with a couple other stocks that I told you software is one of my favorites right now. Long base, platform, breakout, flagging. This is the channel that's starting to form in my mind, or my opinion. And you can see how nice and parallel it is. The targets are 71 and 77. IBRX, this little low price puppy, triple bottomed, exploded. It's stair stepping its way higher. Target is 6 1/4. IDYA, one of my favorite biotechs of the last year, and it's one of my picks from early December of last year. Popped and wedged. Flag, flag, and run. Oh, this has really been wonderful. Look at this move from 8 to 35, and it's at an all-time high. IMMX, another biotech with a major breakout last week, and now wedged. It looks like if this could go through here, it could really accelerate. Look at this large left shoulder, head, right shoulder complex, inverse head and shoulders, breakout pullback. Really nice stuff, technically. Good run. IMVT is yet another biotech. There's your breakout flag. There's a pop and coil, breakout flag, explosive move, falling wedge, and breakout. Targeting 60, 65. INDE, the small semiconductors are popping. This one and a few others. I'll get to the others one later. But INDE breakout, run up, flag, pop. You got secondary resistance here. You get through that. My two targets are going to be 10 and 12. INTC, look at Intel the last year, 100%, 24.48, and still looks good to me. My next target, 51.2, then 55.6. INVA breaks out of a big base and just starts to run. Beautiful chart. Look at the breakout with the breakaway gap here. Then this coiling, ascending bull coil. Almost a no-brainer when it broke out here at 14. Well, it's gone to 16 1/4, not a lot, but I think it's due for a 16, 17 run and maybe even high teens. IoT or Samsara also broke out. It's been flagging for a couple of weeks. Keep an eye on this one for moving to the mid 40s. Iovance, the tech trader swing broke out and kept going, and it kept a beautiful stair step channel. Although it's at some key overhead resistance here, you got to be careful. If it breaks out, maybe we can get to 10. KD, Kyndryl, I believe the IBM spinoff, broke through a double top with a breakaway gap, wedged, and it's been running up ever since. I'm looking for mid 20s. KNTE, a little low price biotech that had a long downtrend. This is a reverse, but I believe I may be wrong. Anyway, pop and coil. Keep an eye on this coil. Should it break out specifically, especially above 265.7, this could be 4.5. One of the junior aerospace stocks have done very well. KTOS has gone from 9 to 21, and it's flagging and looking like you may see more. LFMD, tech trader swing, when it broke out, has done very well for us this year and continues to do well. Rising flag, rising channel, targeting 10 and 12.5. LMB in a phenomenal long channel from 5 to 44 and looking like this could be 60 or 70. LSPD, long base, finally breaking out last week. I like this company. This should be a swing, and I think I'll put one on Monday. We'll see. Targeting 25.29. Macy's takeover rumors abound. Stock jumped from 10.5 to 21 and doubled. Now it's wedging. The next target is 24.5. Mara, well, obviously Mara and Riot have done very well. Look at this ramp up in this one. It's now up about 8-9 days in a row with volume increasing. So it's getting into blow up stage. If it reaches 34, 37.8 range up in that zone. If it spikes into that area, exit the stock. MDXG, this biotech has done well with a breakout above a triple top and now flagging. Looking for 11.5 and 14. MGNX, beautiful long base. Popped here on a shallower base. From the wedge, popped another coil, breakout, or flag or so. It reaching all the way up into that area. Now, longer term chart tells me 15 is your next target. MTGX. Look at this drop, long downtrend. Well, what did it do? Thursday breakout with a breakaway gap, V bottom right hand extension breakout. This has to be my target. 8.25 and 9. MP, put a swing on it. I love this company. This chart looked terrible, but suddenly pop, breakaway gap, little wedge, pop again. I'm looking for 22.5, 3, 26. Micron along with Intel, they look exactly the same. Look at these two charts. Here's Micron, here's Intel, and Micron, almost exactly the same. Both of them look higher, targeting 98 to 100 on MU. Junior biotech, the Carta, exploded in October, pulled back, and then worked its way higher and broke out again. There's some resistance just above here, but ultimately I can see the stock at 7 or 8. Nanox. You know, we did a great swing on it here. I'll just put another one on because it feels like it's about to pop. A little surprised it didn't go midweek. It pulled back. I just don't want to see it under 6.5. My targets are 8, 9, and 11. We got to get a price volume surge first. You get one, jump on it. NTNX, beautiful rising channel. This swing continues to give. It broke out here. It coiled, it popped, it pulled back and tested, but it's worked its way a lot higher since the end of October. It was 34 to 47.5. Target 54. Novartis is Navitas is the other junior semiconductor I like. Beautiful rising channel. I think it continues. I'm looking for a 9.5 and 11. Oscar popped. We put a swing on it. It's moved up and wedged and broke out again. I like the look of it. 10 and 12 are targets. PATH is a new swing. It popped out and pulled back. We put a swing on it. The stock got from 22 to 26.5, but I don't think it's done. My targets are 29 to 32. Backside broke out of a base with a breakaway gap and pulled back and popped. We put a swing on it. It popped and then coiled again. This one looks very good for me. I don't know. This is all-time high territory. Above it, we might see mid-high 70s or more. PHVS 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth wave popped and now coiling. Take a look at that. Should we pop this coil? And this is a thin stock. We could see 40. Something to watch, folks. Impinge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, breakout. We put a swing on it. It went from the 60 range to high 80s, reaching 90 actually. That's up 50%. Consolidating for another move that could take it to 113.50. Pulse Bio broke out, wedge, and popped again. It got good momentum. I think we're going to see 15.5, 16. Palantir, I'm getting a little concerned about this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This better not break that level right there. If I see Palantir underneath 17, I'd be gone, and it's close right now. Careful. QUIK is another junior semiconductor that I like. I'm liking the trend, and I have a target of 16. RBLX was the other big software stock I like. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times we've been up in this area. We break through, it's mid-50s. Rocket Pharmaceuticals. V bottom, run up, retest, long, year-long base, double top breakout, retested, onward and upward. 37 target. Rev Group. Pop, a long platform, another pop and a coil or breakout and a falling wedge. Target 20, 20.5. Riot, well, along with Mara, I look for an extension to 21. Rivian, well, we did very well with Rivian here when we jumped on the breakout, and boy, did that thing go. Now, after pulling back dramatically, it's popped yet again, but backed off resistance. Keep an eye on this one because over 24 3/4, we could see 28 and 32. Biotech RNA breakaway gap, retest form a new rising channel, form a flag, break out again. I'm looking for a quick test of 10 as early as, early next week. And then 12.5. Sun runs, a take trader swing, broke out, pulled back and held support, exploded. Right now is in a really sharply rising angle. I think it extends to 22.3. Rhythm Pharmaceuticals, after breaking out and platforming, it broke out. Consolidation, retest, and now flag. How far can I take this? All-time high territory? Well, my next test is about low 50s. SGML, inverse head and shoulders. I had the extended V. Explosive move to resistance. This has work to do, but I think if it gets to 35, we might see 40, 42, 43. It's HOT with an explosive move, a pullback, pop pullback coil near the apex. Boy, if this thing ever takes out 5, 10, 12 with volume, it could just go vertical. Keep an eye on this one. This is a very unique pattern. Notice the volume and technicals flattening out, which they usually do at the apex of bull consolidations. SLDB popped and broke out, pulled back, and now is wedging. Looking for a retest of 7.25. Solano popped, pulled back, coiled, broke out. It's now flagging again. Really like the look of this one. I think we gave this one to you in the 22 range. It's now 39. Snap breaks out of a beautiful 1.5 year long base. It just keeps running up. Extension targets from 1920 zone. Snow, a tech traded swing. This is another software stock with a nice trend. Angle may have changed a little bit, but I like the look of it. If it does extend with the market, 210 and 220 are targets. So SoFi broke out finally and is flagging. This is a good setup. If we go further, 11.5 and 14 are your targets. Keep an eye on that one next week. SPR and a junior aerospace group. Spirit was getting hammered down there at 15. It's now more than doubled to 32. It's at key resistance here. But I wanted to point out that that trend, that breaks out, if it breaks out, should lead to 38. School Rock broke out. We put a swing on it and then popped, wedged, exploded, and now flagging. Love this one. 25 and 28 targets. SSNT went ballistic on a one day where it traded a mere 41 million shares and then coiled, but it did pop Thursday. Friday was an inside day. Keep an eye on this one. If it goes, it could be mid to high teens. STNE, beautiful software, South American software stock, broke out here. Has been running in a rising channel ever since with a target of 20 and 24. SYM popped and broke out, but we put the swing back on. I believe it's still an ongoing swing there. Support is 47, resistance 59, target 65. SYRS popped, wedged, and popped again. There's a key breakout on Friday. Look at the highest level in a couple of years, targeting now 9. TGI, another junior aerospace stock, breakout, breakaway gap through multiple tops, and up against resistance here. Should we get through here, we may see the stock in the mid-20s. First 20 and 24. TGTX, breakaway gap, wedge, breakout, stair step the way higher, fill the gap and back off. Doesn't mean it's done though. I think we're going to see 23. EHRX, very similar chart, breakaway gap, and coiling for weeks before finally breaking out Friday. Watch for an extension to 4.75 to 6. Tandem, what a beautiful chart this was here. When we went in at 2.75 and the stock went to 120. That was one of the best swings we ever had. Eventually coming down from the 120 back down at mid-teens. But look at the pop it's had recently. My extension target is 36.7. TPIC base, breakout, wedge, and pop. Friday was a good day for this one. Looking for 5.25, 6.75, and 8. DBTX, similar to some of the others we've seen, ugly, ugly, ugly until this breakaway took it through the moving averages and now it's flagging. I would think at least somewhere around 11 and then 13 are targets. Uber, been high on this stock since it broke out here in the high 20s. It's made it into the low 60s and it's flagging. Again, back then I said my institutional clients were looking for 80 to 100. It looks like it's going to get there. UEC and the Uranium Group, Nice rising channel, currently consolidating. If it gets to this zone, 8.5 and 10 are targets. Junior stock UIS pop broke out. We put a swing on it. It's done very well since, and it's in a rising channel. However, double, triple top resistance at 6 needs to be taken out. If that occurs, probably 8 might be a target. Upstart pop, we put a swing on it. It flagged and popped again. It's flagging again. I think it pops again. Looking for high 50s and mid 60s. Viking, another junior biotech in a downtrend that had a breakaway gap, popped and flagged. I'm looking for 26. VRNS, beautiful rising channel, accelerated with a breakaway there. It's been up ever since. I think 50, 51 is your target. BRT, similar, still going, great momentum. Top of the channel target is 55.6. BSAT, I like this look. I believe it's a text rate of swing. My target's at 29 and 33.4. BST's been a phenomenal, beautiful channel after breaking the base. Breakout occurred in July around 28. It's gone up to 38 and change. And based on this angle, I can see low 40s. Vizio popped, and we put a swing on it, and it's gone from about 6.5 to 8.25. My target now is 8.75, 9, and then 10.5, 3/4. Wolf, inverse head and shoulder breakout. I put a swing on it. It backed off to retest and popped again. Looking for 49.50 short term. XBI in the biotech sector, we talked about that earlier. Zim in the shipping sector, really big couple weeks on this one. 6.5 to almost 12. There's resistance here, but the momentum could carry this to 13.5 and 15.5. ZIMV, look at this one. A large base, a breakaway gap, a flag. Immediate target 21. And finally, ZIXI, ZYXI. As you know, I've been following the stock for a long time. We were very high on it there, and it did very well for us. I like to look at this base and breakout now. Should this get above 11.5, I could see 14, 17. Folks, and that's a look at it. I'm not going to cover the short side today, but I am going to do a lot of research over the holidays. Also, folks, look forward to my top 20 picks for 2024. I'm working on that as well. So you have a great holiday. Warm wishes to and happy holidays to all of you and your families. And look forward to seeing you guys back on Tuesday. In the meantime, enjoy, relax, have fun, and be safe. Bye, everybody.